everybody. Welcome. It is a beautiful October 11th. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're joining live or whether you're catching it on recap on Twitter or YouTube right now. Either way, I really appreciate you being there. Just do me a little follow, subscribe us on any of those platforms you see down there, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, of course. I spent a lot of time there. I'm very pleased to have a special guest this week. Liam, welcome to the show, man, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. It's quite an experience getting to come onto a Packers show after all, I'm just fantasy football in the Twitterverse, at least.
Hey, man, but I know you're a Packer fan through and through. You did get to go to the game in London. I followed your trip there. It looks like it was a wonderful time. Before we get too much into that, though, where do people find you, Liam? I got it on the banner down here with the FSA tweets, but go ahead and tell everybody.
Yeah, so you can find me at the FSA tweets on Twitter. Most of my work will be fantasy football, specifically Dynasty, but you'll see Packers tweets during the games and stuff when I'm getting irate that we're playing one half football as usual. But Packers tweets and Dynasty fantasy football mostly at the FSA tweets on Twitter.
Absolutely, man. Go do yourself a favor and follow Liam. He's got a lot of great takes, especially if you're doing Dynasty like me. In my first year, I'm my 13th year of fantasy football, but my first year of Dynasty. So I'm paying attention to any resource you can get, and Liam's got a lot of them, man. How did you become a Packer fan? Before we kind of recap this, how did this all happen?
Oh, man. I've told this story quite a bit from just talking to a bunch of Packers fans from all over the world. So when we went to the London game, obviously, a few days ago, you speak to every Packers fan that there is, even if it's just a quick go Pack go, and a lot of them ask that question. So for me personally, I'm talking probably 10 years ago now. It was just before the Seahawks playoff loss that broke a lot of Packers fans' hearts. I think it was 2013, maybe 2012 when I first got into the NFL. My dad had a couple of mates, because obviously in the UK it's not as big as it is in the US, so it's quite difficult to get into, especially 10 years ago. So my dad had a bunch of friends that persuaded him to watch it, and then he persuaded me to watch it. So I spent about a season and a half just watching as many games as I could, and just settled on the Packers in the end. Like, I came across one game where Rodgers went absolutely berserk. I can't remember for the life of me which one it was, but I loved the offense. I loved the way that they played. This was back in the Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb days where they were both in their primes and stuff. So, just going back to those days. And then I read up a bit on the history, and the whole cheesehead thing always kind of stuck with me. Vince Lombardi and the Super Bowl trophy being named after the head coach of the Packers was incredible to me. So, yeah, just going through the history after that. And then obviously a bit more heartbreak over the few years that I've been following them.
No, there's been a lot of heartbreak. They were definitely good in those years, though, man. So you became a fan at a good time to follow.
Yeah, definitely.
So the intro, I don't know if you watched much of it, but it's like the montage, like the whole history starting with Colonel Lambeau. And I tried to do that. I pieced it together.
I love it.
Highest quality. But I just kind of think it's like that. It's a cool story within a story, because the Packers do have so much history, man. It's a cool thing to be a Packer fan. I'm a Packer owner. I always want to point that out.
Nice.
So I will be saying things like we, us, investors. So yeah, that's my little, this is my Packers booth, man. I'm really proud to be here. It is Hispanic Heritage Month. I am a very proud Mexican American, so you got the flag as well. Got the yellow tin in there as well, though. We always have that going down. Let's talk about
I'm
that.
nothing like you, though, mate. Wrong side. Nothing like you, but I've got a little shrine up there, Packers shrine. I don't know how much you can see.
Earlier,
cheese head. My little cheese head. There's a little
helmet,
foam finger from replica helmet and stuff. Yeah, little foam finger that I bought from the game this week, and had to come on wearing this.
Oh yeah, man! Show everybody that. That's nice, man.
There you go. But yeah, plenty of Packers merch from the game this week. But anyway, let's carry on with the show.
No, man. Yeah. Well, let's get to London. I guess let's go ahead and bring up the game. I got to pull up the stats here. Even after a playoff loss, they're bringing up the stats. We all had that. Aaron Rodgers came around with some awful Bud Light, and they had to go watch that game. It's bringing up a blank screen. I don't know why. Is that better? Is it up now?
Yeah, there you go. It's up now.
All right, just a quick rundown. To talk about a tale of two halves, man. I mean, the defense getting that safety that was pretty much given to them is the only points the Packers occurred. I started my live feed in the second half, so I take full responsibility. Once I started it, the second half, they just kept going down, and I had to record the show. Shout out to Deshaun out there. I appreciate you hopping in on this show, man. But yeah, so I'll take full loss. I'll take the credit. I'm sorry. But I mean,
ruining the London experience, bud.
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. I can't imagine what it was like being there. I mean, just absolutely tough. But let's just go through these stats because you look at him, Rodgers. 25 completions, 222 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. It's not outstanding, but not terrible, especially since he got most of that in the first half. Jones, I think this is a real problem right here. 13 carries for only 63 yards. AJ Dillon 6 for 34. Watson 1 for -3. So they didn't even get 100, but Jones was looking really good the first half and in pace. And then Randall Cobb, 7 catches, 99 yards. Lazard, 435 in the touchdown. He has definitely secured that red zone faith with Aaron Rodgers, and they have some kind of secret signals that they give each other to get that away. Dobbs is looking amazing, 3 for 29, Tunyon 4 for 23. DeGuarda, man, he actually had a few passes his way, 2 for 19, Aaron Jones 2 for 17. Big dog, Mercedes Lewis 1. That's when I saw that touchdown, I was like, oh man, they have a game plan, they have scheme things. I was like, we are about to demolish these Giants and just show that they are not a good 3-1 team. But that's far from the truth right there. So we'll have to look at that. Defensively, Quay Walker, I noticed he was on the field. I want to hear what he was like for you to see live because I haven't seen him live really, and I didn't watch him much in college. As a first-year dynasty player, I don't have that much in college, but I totally trust you with all these rookies, and I want to know your perspective. We're going to break down that London game. Stokes, it seemed like he was targeted in the pass game as well. He had 6 tackles. Campbell, as usual, 5. Jair Alexander had that huge hit against Saquon, knocked him into the sidelines. I don't know what that was like live, but man, it looked great on the TV. But yeah, let's go ahead and that's enough of this talking about the actual stuff from this game. Let's get the actual perspective from you that was there, my man. And I want to know, what was that game like? What was the atmosphere like? What was watching that game kind of unfold like? All those things, man. What was it? What was it like from you as a fan perspective?
I mean, I'll start with the atmosphere. So I went to the Atlanta Falcons and the Jets game last year, and there was just absolutely no team atmosphere there. The Falcons was the home game, so they got control of the stadium PA systems and stuff. They tried a little bit, but there was no real Falcons chants. There was nothing really going on. So I was kind of expecting something similar. Maybe I know that the Packers travel well, so I was kind of hoping that we'd see a lot more Packers fans. But yeah, it was completely different for the Packers. I mean, the stadium, when you looked around in all the stands, it was all green jerseys. There was a few other ones it's dotted here and there, but yeah, there was a lot of green, loads of cheese heads, everything. So chance wise, I had a lovely couple from Wisconsin that go to home games a lot. So they were telling me about what it's like in Lambeau, and apparently it's a lot more manufactured in London, but that's kind of understandable with a lot less of a Green Bay crowd, I suppose. But yeah, the atmosphere was amazing. As I said, I've never heard at London games a team full on chanting as much as we did. There was boos every time that the Giants took the field. Any new player, any new coach that ran onto the field before the show was boos everywhere. It was nuts. I mean, there was at one point when the team, the rest of the team for the Giants ran on in the warm-ups, and the Giants fans started cheering, and then within 3 or 4 seconds, it was just boos. You couldn't hear the Giants fans cheering. It was just boos all over the stadium. So,
did you see Rodgers when he came out? Were you there when Rodgers came out of the tunnel?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Yeah, that was really the fans went nuts. Yeah, the fans went crazy for that.
That's when they tilted. The announcers were like, man, they were like, Rodgers just came on the field and the crowd responded so well. It's good to see he's well received there. I mean, it was a good game, through and through. You got an exciting game if you were out there. The Packers had a chance to close it out, driving it down. 2 bad decisions. But what, yeah, you met people from all over. I saw a lot of the 5 Yard guys there with Murph, and I saw Dan there, and y'all guys posted that photo. But you said you were just bumping into Packers fans everywhere. I went to 2 games. They were both in Texas when I was living there, Packers games, and it was Green Bay versus Houston Monday night game. The Houston fans were really rowdy. They were 5-0 at that point. The Packers, I think, were 3-2 or 2-3, one of those. And I was definitely outnumbered, because they were that was like one of the best starts in their franchise history. But I got to see a couple friends. We just hung out. At the Dallas game, though, that was a bitter rivalry. That was the Dez walkout game. And that's what it's remembered for. But really, Eddie Lacy had an amazing game. Matt Flynn played the game that got him the career in Seattle. And there was a lot of hostility, but there was a lot of the Packers fans. There was enough there to have that kind of like that brotherly love, just like, oh yeah, we're going to do it. And so you saw that from the train rides in, outside the stadium, inside the stadium. Was that kind of the experience for you as well?
Yeah, very much the same. I mean, we went to the Packers rally, sports bar called Belushi's before on Saturday, and then we headed over elsewhere in London, and we had no idea. But we walked past another Packers bar that was having a similar pep rally. And we had no idea it was there. We just walked past, and it was just a bar full of green. There was nothing else in there. It was just green and gold. So. The stadium, the atmosphere was purely Packers. The Giants fans did pipe up in the fourth quarter. They did start to get loud there, as obvious. But apart from that, it was just green and gold everywhere we could see.
Hey,
Iggy,
did you see the
put a question up here, mate? Yeah.
That one for you. Yeah, Real Ones Production asked, what's your favorite moment during or after the game?
I mean, when the Packers offense was taking the field one by one and they were calling out the names, that was electric. But then I think it was the Mercedes Lewis touchdown, because that was the big dog getting the ball. The crowd went absolutely wild. It wasn't just one, maybe two passes here or there, or it just wasn't a small play. It just seemed to cement a massive lead that we had at that point. So that was absolutely wild.
I think that was my happiest moment as well, watching the big dog touchdown here. I mean, it was I'm in a different time zone. I'm not on the East Coast. So it was relatively early here, but I was so hyped. I always wear a jersey at a game. And I got to let you know, Liam, Leroy Butler, I went to Canton, Ohio. I went to the Fantasy Football Expo, and he got enshrined in the Hall of Fame this year. The two games, I've wore his jersey in the 2 losses. I've worn my old faded Aaron Rodgers white jersey in the 3 wins, and I hate to see it. So we're gonna have to get a win in that Leroy Butler jersey. Yeah. Let's talk about this week, man. I'm a little nervous about this week, to be honest with you. The Jets look good. I've admitted in several places how wrong I've been on Breece Hall, and he's looking like the real deal candidate. And not that Carter's looking bad. He's not. It's just that Carter's looking great. Or is that a Hall is looking great?
Hall's doing brilliant.
And the Packers are giving up some, Barkley kind of gouged us late, even though it was in passing and rushing combined. He still, I think, was it 140 yards. I don't even want to talk about it too much more, but I think that's what he got on us. And I'm just like, man, we got another good set of running backs coming in, because Carter's a good running back. Hall's a great running back. So I'm a little bit nervous about this game. Let's take a quick look at the stats. Do you want to give a quick guess at who the leading Packers wide receiver is? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yardage. What is it? Sorry.
Yardage. I just wanted the category was yardage.
Just yardage. I'll go Dobbs. Dobbs. I'll go Dobbs.
Dobbs is a great guess. It's actually old man Randall Cobb. 17 receptions, 249 yards. So, and what's crazy on the inverse side of that, you have Wilson, you have Moore, you have all this kind of like talent that's, we're waiting to blossom. We see a little burst of it. You know who the leading receiver is for the Jets?
Oh, be like Corey Davis or something, won't it?
Yeah, Corey Davis, same amount of receptions, 17, 299 yards. A guy went and got everywhere. I'm a big value guy. Like I said, I'm still a redraft, so minded. I was like, Corey Davis, wide receiver 1 in the 13th round. Let's go get him. We'll see how it affects because Flacco still controls all the stats for the quarterbacks. Wilson hasn't been able to surpass him with his 2 games yet. But the leading rusher, yardage-wise, 56 carries, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns for all. I think it's amazing, man. Let's see here. There we go. People can kind of see it. I don't know if you can, but there's the leading stats. 83% of people think that the Packers are going to win this game. Aaron Jones is our leading rusher, 390 and 1 touchdown, 61. We haven't seen too much Dylan as Packers fans yet, as people that kind of wanted to see more of him. I have quite a few shares of him in a lot of my leagues, but I think they're going to save him for the later season in the colder weather. Rodgers is still doing well, 1,157 yards, 8 touchdowns. Kind of uncharacteristic of him to have 3 interceptions. I think they said that was the most he had going into a game since 2017. So we'll have to see because the Jets have a good secondary. You know me, I'm an IDP guy. They have a lot of great guys over there on that defense capable of making the big play. And it's making me a little nervous. There's the lines. You see them spread 7 points on the Packers. We haven't been able to cover the last 2 spreads against the Patriots and obviously not against the Giants. The money line's negative.
Both of those were what? 10 points, 9 points. I think the Giants ended up being 8 at the end, but that's still a large spread. I don't like 7-point spread for us right now.
I don't either. And then the over/under 46. Real quick, just some team stats, and I want to get your opinion. The Jets are outscoring us. They got 23.2 to the Packers 19.4 points allowed. The Jets are allowing 23.6, and the Packers are allowing 19.2. Kind of interesting, right? Right around the same. The Jets did have the worst points per game given up last year. They're not on a great pace this year, but they're playing good team defense. I don't get it. Total yards, 373 for the Jets, 379 for the Packers, so relatively even. 276 passing yards for the Jets, actually outpacing Rodgers with 244.4. Rushing yards, 97 for the Jets, where the Packers have 134.8. Yards allowed, 3.1 for the Jets, 320 for the Packers, 320 for the Packers. Most of that, of course, in the air, 217 for the Jets, 114 for the rushing game for the Jets. The Packers are allowing 126 on the ground and 194.2. What say you, Liam, about this game overall? And what are you kind of predicting? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm expecting this to be a run-heavy game. I mean, LaFleur after the game just said that they need to get Dylan more involved. They only gave him 6 touches, which were all carries. I think he had over 5.5 yards per carry on as an average. So they strayed away from Dylan in the Giants game, and that shouldn't be happening. I mean, he was absolutely gashing them through the middle, and just I don't know what got into LaFleur's head. It kind of felt like it was getting a bit too cute at times, especially when we were 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2, where both of those passes from Rodgers right at the end of the 4th quarter before the Hail Mary attempt and the safety, all that occurred. The drive before that, when you had that short yardage laid down situation, they didn't run Dylan whatsoever, and he was on the field at least on the 3rd down play. So I don't quite know why they decided to try and maneuver away from that, but they need to get back to that this week. And again, I think it's going to be similar from the Jets. I think that Breece Hall's going to be running it through this Packers defense. One thing I noticed from the Packers defense this week was TJ Slayton got through on a couple of got good penetration on a couple of good run plays, and he was on the field a lot more than Jerron Reed that we haven't seen for this season. So I think if TJ Slayton, who is one of the biggest guys on this roster, is on the field, especially for those for those running downs, then you can kind of expect Breece Hall to maybe get bottled up. But I can imagine something similar to Saquon, where he was bottled up for a good 3 quarters or so, and then absolutely gets unleashed at the end and has a few big plays. I mean, Saquon had that 60-70 yard play. I think it was 50, sorry. But yeah, that one big play that has helped his stats a lot more. But yeah, I think it's going to be a run-heavy game. I think defensively, the Packers' scheme with Joe Barry will actually help them this week, because Joe Barry likes that zone coverage, likes to sit back and try and make the quarterback do the work. And I think against some of the quarterbacks we've been against, it hasn't worked. I mean, it wasn't working against Daniel Jones, which is saying something, but I think Wilson is the type of quarterback that could work against. So maybe it works this week. But I would like to see a bit more aggression from Joe Barry this week.
Yeah, Joe Barry, AJ Dillon. The games that the early slot game was Rodgers loves, a lot of the vets love. So I'm hoping they can get in a rhythm. The game is at Lambeau. Real ones also I see is Brees Hall paying off for dynasty owners who took him 101 overall.
I mean, he will do. Yeah. he will do with how he's playing over the past few weeks. He's taken over that offense and taken over that backfield, but not quite yet. But it's very hard for a 101 to pay off in the first 5 weeks of the season. So he's getting there. He's getting there.
Nice. Yeah. It's like I said, and I'm not going to try to say he's Saquon Barkley. He has his own style, and they're both great. I mean, Hall showed he's capable of breaking away. He's capable of making a big play, and he can punch it in from the 1 yard line. When you're looking for a running back, man, there's not really, those are the criteria. Pass blocking, and that'll improve as he's longer in the NFL. But I agree with you. I think, he's showing everybody why he was selected so high and why they were so happy to get him. He also had this to say real quick about Zach Wilson, the real ones. Zach Wilson's third in NFL in points per game for fantasy QBs. How would you grade his performance so far through 2 games? Can Packers defense make it difficult for him this Sunday? If so, how does that look? Liam, I think you answered a little bit of that with the zone scheme with Barry. Jair Alexander had a comment. He was a little upset about the performances, to say the least, which I get. I think Jair is a shutdown corner. I wouldn't mind if we zoned somebody and said, Jair, this is your responsibility. You're going to go lock down wide receiver 1. So I think that was something we need to employ. But they're going to try to control the ball. That's the Packers' mantra. They're going to try to run the ball. I don't know if Rodgers was checking away at Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur is probably trying to get a little cute with a little bit of a lead, feeling confident, wanting to show everybody in the UK something that, a show, so to speak. And I just don't think it panned out. An interesting thing about the game is this is a battle of offensive coordinator for the Jets. Well, Matt LaFleur is, I can't think of his first name right now, his brother, but it's a battle of brothers with similar styles of what they want to do to control a game. I would say the defenses are built a little differently, obviously. Quentin Williams is very special. Not to say that I'm about to say Kenny Pickett. That's not his name at all. It's not DJ Raji. I can't think of our guy from UCLA, Bruin.
You mean Kenny Clark? Or you on about Rashawn Gary? Come on. Kenny Clark.
I couldn't get the right name. Yeah, Kenny Clark is amazing as well. So, to lose 2 in a row, that would be pretty bad, for the Packers. And the Jets are coming in with momentum. They took down a division rival for the first time, a division rival for the first time in 13 matches. So they're kind of on an emotional high as well. It's going to be interesting to see if they can slow down Zach Wilson. He's got great wheels. People underestimate his running ability, I think. But I think they're going to try to hand it to Hall. I think they're going to try to hand it to Carter. And if they can find somebody that can take advantage of that zone, they will. It'll be up to Barry to make those adjustments.
As you said, I'd love to see Jair be put on an island and just say, this is your guy for this entire game, deal with it. But we just haven't seen that, and I don't think Barry's going to change his defense for that, which I think is a shame considering the amount we've just paid Jair. We need to start using him in that way, in my opinion. But then, I think that Gary's going to have a great game. I mean, these tackles aren't what the Giants wanted to see in the there it is. I think Gary's going to have a great game. He had a couple of pressures and I believe 1 or even 2 sacks against the Giants, and I think he's going to have a similar stat line this week. So
Preston has been playing really great as well. He's kind of been overlooked in this. He actually tackles. He's actually, as a defensive end, you got to set the edge. A lot of times he's not getting moved away from the edge. That is not the weak point of the defense. I think they're targeting Quay, and I think they're targeting Eric and the Mr. Stokes in the pass game as well. But there's no really excuses. You're playing at home. You want to be one of the top tier teams in the conference. You're going to have to beat the Jets. Even though they're in another conference, you just it's a game you got to win. And it isn't fair because a lot of the Packers how to play before and after a London game, which a lot of teams don't have to do. So, but there's no excuses. They just got to step it up. Mace had a
I
question
believe they
right
get
here.
the option. Sorry, Iggy. I think they get the option after the London game. Both teams get the option whether they can have a bye afterwards. But I believe the Packers declined it because it was going to be so early in the season.
Well, that makes sense. I'm all for the week 14 bye.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I want it later. It always comes when you need it. I'm sure the Titans and the Raiders are really glad to have it this week. But I've always kind of been a fan of the late bye. Get a little rest and push that last month hard. So
definitely.
Mace had the question: do you feel the Packers should make a call at Carolina about DJ Moore, any other players who could be on the move that could be helpful for fantasy? There will be people on the move. I don't think they have the money or the cap space for DJ Moore this year. I think OBJ is probably the best one. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know how he looks after his surgery, but I think he would help the team tremendously. I also don't think it's just the wide receiver's fault. But some of it's rhythm, offensive line. It's still kind of getting in its rhythm too. Eldon Jenkins, Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari had a pretty costly penalty with the false start in the fourth quarter, kind of moved us back, lost a little momentum.
Yeah,
So, I think it's pretty dynamic, but I would love DJ Moore. I would love a great wide receiver that wanted to be traded out, but the Packers don't really do that. It's a board of directors that make a decision. We're on the board over here. Like the executives of that board make the decision. So it's not so simple as Mark Murphy and going to Matt LaFleur and being like, let's go get this guy. They got to present it to other people and convince like the finance team and all that as well. So that's kind of the reason people don't understand, but that's part of the reason Green Bay doesn't make as many moves. Let's see. We got one more here. Go ahead, Lynn.
I was just going to say on DJ Moore, it really comes down on the price. I mean, I can't imagine us paying a second for him, so it'd need to be cheaper, and I don't think the Panthers would want to take less than that. And then when it comes down to contract, we've actually got one of the highest cap spaces right now, which I was surprised about. I think we're above league average. I think we're about 10th or 9th. I had a look a couple of days ago when this rumor started coming around, and yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think wide receiver is the biggest issue. I just think it's Rodgers trying to do too much. I mean, we saw what he tried to do. Was it 2018? I want to say where he just tried to do everything himself and it wasn't working. I mean, if he just starts to slow down and trusts the short passes, and maybe the scheme's not there and the scheme's not going to the short passes, or whatever that case may be. But if we can adjust to that sort of stuff, obviously still take the shots and hopefully connect to Christian Watson, Dobbs, and whoever else is running long, but and keep that offense honest. But honestly, I think we just need to start passing the ball shorter. Don't think DJ Moore is going to change that too much. I think Rodgers is going to keep going to his guy Cobb in that situation rather than going to whoever they bring in, whether it's Odell Beckham in free agency or Will Fuller if teams are still actually interested, or trading for a guy like DJ Moore.
Yeah, exactly. I think as well said. Run the ball a little bit more. Tighter defense. There's a lot of people that got paid a lot of money on that defensive side of the ball that need to step it up. Russell Douglas, Campbell, Alexander, all have big contracts. You got to step it up in that situation. As I feel, and I think this is a get right game, but it could be a trap game. And I don't think it's a blowout. Like you said, the 7-point spread does not look that great to me as well. Having said that, my friend, I think players to highlight on this game. I think Aaron Jones gets a touchdown this game. If you're looking for a debate on like me, I have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in 2 leagues, 2 active leagues, not like a best ball format. So I think Aaron Jones is somebody that we're going to target this week. I think Lazard's pretty good. He's just not he's a good high floor guy, low ceiling guy. So playing at home against that Jet secondary, it's better than people want to admit, honestly. But it's Rodgers.
I mean, Sauce Gardner. Sorry, Iggy. Yeah. Sauce Gardner has been incredible for them. He's showing that he is the top pick, or one of the top picks of this draft. So yeah, he has been incredible. And then the rest of that secondary has been playing a lot better than, as you said, most people want to give them credit for.
And CJ Mosley holding it down in the middle. Real One said the CMC news to Buffalo is true. I think they're probably going to dismantle that team some. CMC would obviously help just about every team. I just don't think it's Green Bay's need as well either. How do the Packers fans feel about their positioning after Week 5 compared to the Vikings, Lions, Bears? That's about right. 3-2. If you'd have told me, hey, Week 5 you're going to be 3-2, I'd probably be like, a little disappointed, but I'll take it. And then obviously the Lions are on bye. Bears have, I forgot this week. I was just looking at that. And then the Vikings, I don't remember that matchup either, but I feel pretty good with the NFC North at the moment. It's always going to come down to the late season here. I feel like there's usually always one team besides the Packers that start out pretty hot, and then other two that start to fade away. But
yeah, I mean, the Bears have got the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Right. And then the Vikings have the Dolphins, so that could be with the third string quarterback. So both have decent matchups in their favor as well.
Yeah, the Packers need to keep pace, no doubt about it.
For sure.
Like Aaron Jones, I think Hall's due for a big game as well against the Packers, obviously. I think from the defensive side, CJ Mosley is going to have a great game. Keep an eye on him. On our side, if they run as much as they're expecting to, Quay Walker and Campbell should have an excellent game as well. Possibly smash Amos. He was coming up making some hits.
Yeah, he was.
And to go back to that London game, and I remember the play calls. He threw 3 bombs. It's like the only drive of the second half I really got to watch. Is because it was a 3 and out, and Aaron Rodgers threw 3 bombs in a row, and I was like, what was that about? But the play calling got a little bizarre to me. It looks like they were trying to show off or something. Hopefully, they get a little bit more back to the basics. I'm about to get out of here, Liam. Why don't you tell everybody once again where to find you to close out the show, man? Do you have any closing remarks as well about the Packers or anything in general?
No, not really. I mean, the Packers, I have no doubts that will be in playoff contention, even North Champs contention at least. So just stay true to that. As Roger said, relax a little bit, I don't think that's going to go anyway. So you've just put this on the screen, Iggy. Real One Productions has said, fill in the blank. The Green Bay Packers win if they, and I'll probably say give the ball to Dylan, because Dylan will smash through that D line right now.
I'm going to say they win if they win the turnover battle. If we get two turnovers off of Wilson or Hall or somehow, I think that's what we need. We didn't get that big play in the second half. The Giants kind of just kept driving and driving. So Barry's going to have to figure out a way to scheme it up and get that ball out, get a big play in our momentum. So that's my final answer.
For sure. But yeah, Iggy, as you said, you can find all my work at the FSA Tweets on Twitter. If you're a UK fan, me and a few other guys do the @_UKFFC on Twitter. So go find us on there, or at UKFFC on Facebook. That's the first and only fantasy football meetup similar to the FF Expo over in the UK. So you can go buy tickets at one of those two over there as well.
Yeah, I manifested it. I bought tickets, so I'm going to try to get, win a big best ball league or something, and I'm going to try to be there next year. I love the UK. Try to make it happen. I still got your stickers coming your way too, man. Shout out to Liam if you want some. Let me know. I'm going to send a lot of extra to Liam. He said he was going to go out of his way to try to send some to people in the UK as well. I love the NFL UK fan base. I really love you, Liam. You're one of the first people I met on Twitter, and I appreciate your interactions through all the good, the bad, my flare-ups. All of it, man. Interactions. And, I want to let you know you appreciate it. And if you're not following, go follow him. There's some great dynasty advice, great advice in general. The 5-yard rush people are great. I work with King Fantasy Sports, no competition on my end, all love. And let's build it together. The NFL UK crowd is amazing.
For sure.
If you're not following some of those guys, go follow because they have great advice. They're passionate. You saw the Packers game. I mean, it's all there. It's all that we're looking for. So let's go build together.
For sure.
Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Thank you once again, Liam. I really appreciate it. And I want everybody to stay safe and enjoy it. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. All right. Take care.